Hey everybody, welcome back to the Flannel Channel. I'm Philip, I'm hanging out with my son Jacob, and we're about to fire up Curtis Low with the new exhaust system that we just got finished installing on it. So we're about to hear it for the first time. Big moment. We've been working on this a long time, and time to hear that new song that Curtis Low is about to sing. Here we go. What you're actually witnessing right now is 3 generations of West boys. And so I'm honored, I'm thrilled to be able to spend some time with my dad. I'm glad that I have a dad that wants to spend some time with me. And honestly, it's one of those things, Dad, that I attribute a lot of my love for working with my hands and being willing to try new things, learn new things, figure stuff out as I go. My love for cars and semis comes from you.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Yeah.
I didn't even know all that stuff. But.
So you're getting to see a little bit of inside the family workings of who we are and what makes us tick. And so I think in growing up, it was you taking us to car shows and you know, we'd be driving down the road and you'd say, "Hey boys, check out that cool car," or something like that. And you know, or you were able to name, like, "Oh, hey, that's a '68 Le Mans over there. That's a you know, '72 GTO. I had a buddy with one of those. Look at that old Mustang," and you were able to name what those things were.
One time I remember that I found out on the radio that they were going to have an open house at the Ford pickup in St. Paul at the Ford assembly plant, and so I think I went home early and I grabbed the boys, which we lived northwest of the Twin Cities, and we drove back down to St. Paul, and we got to spend a couple hours there watching the like Ranger pickups, and it was quite close to when the Ranger pickups were closing out or something. So
I remember that day.
Okay,
it was really cool. Yeah,
okay.
And you would take us to, you know, car shows or monster truck rallies or tractor pulls, stuff like that. And so that kind of fueled that love and that passion in me and in my brother. And
so my skills are a little different in that I'm like a remodeling contractor, remodel kitchens and bathrooms. But we were just talking earlier, so many of these things are similar, you know. Well, in a house anyway, it's plumb and square and all those kind of things and level. But still, so many of those when you're working with your hands, those things are straight off, so you just begin to use. And I was talking to Phil earlier that something to the effect that oftentimes, like when I go to work, we end up having, every situation is different than, you don't know what you're running into. And so you become a problem solver. That's right. And so one of the things is I think of myself as kind of a solutions guy. It's like, I don't know the answer, but we'll figure it out. So usually positive in the thing, and sometimes you have to do it and maybe even do it wrong or break something, but that's how you learn. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's exactly what this project is all about. I've never done something this big and this involved before. And I'm just learning as I go. Yeah. You're learning along with me. You guys are watching us make mistakes.
And they're teaching me some stuff I don't know. So.
You'd think, having a contractor for a dad, I should be able to hang a door in my own house, but I'm not any good at that at all. I mean, I can set a sink.
I'm sure some of you car guys do this too, but on a house anyway, my wife gives me a hard time because I say it isn't just that it closes, it has to close and sound right too, so that it touches at the top, the bottom, and the middle, and it has a sound. And I think they do that when they're trying to do the fit and finish on a car too. So anyway, let's go straight out.
Absolutely, yeah. That's awesome. Well, Dad, you inspired me and my brother. And now my son's the 3rd generation that we all work with our hands. We love getting dirty, and we want to do all this to the glory of God, right?
That's right. I mean,
we're truly blessed.
That's right. Very, very blessed. So, any of you guys that are working with like broken relationships or something, just dive in, pray about it, and then do your very best to try to bring peace to the people around you. And sometimes that it means eating a little crow or admitting that you're wrong or whatever, but it's worth it in the end. So relationships are powerful.
That's right. That's right. Anything you want to say, Jacob? Here, I've been talking all the time.
No, sorry.
That's all right.
All right. Well, we got a bunch to do on the project here today, and we've already begun. But I'm glad you're with us. Stick around through the rest of the episode, and we're gonna just keep going on the Curtis project here today.
Yeah, Curtis Lowe.
Yeah, right on. So one of the small projects that Dad's helping me with today is for us to move the radiator back, and we needed to get a couple inches out of it in order to get the front clip to fit on the front of the truck better. So Dad, kind of explain what you're doing here.
So these are the original holes with the brackets, and I was able to slip it out without any problem. If I push it straight back, I noticed it was going to hit this, so we were able to bend it a little bit, but we still felt like we needed to, and also leave space there so there's no vibration issues. But I put on the tape measure back here and also drew a line along the side. So basically all I did was shift it back to 2 inches. And so I've already drilled this out and tapped this one here. It's a self-tapping screw. So I just drilled these two, and then when we get all done with that, move the other side and do the same thing, and we should be back to 2 inches that we need.
Perfect. Looks great, Dad.
Thank you.
Thanks for your help. That's awesome. All right, so I wanted to show you one of the things that I'm working on here today. In moving our Crown Vic steering column further to the center line of the truck interior, I decided I need to reinforce the lower section of the steering column, because columns are always attached in 4 places, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, and that just keeps it more rigid. And so anyway, I decided I'm gonna repurpose and reuse the old accelerator linkage and clutch linkage from the 79 F-150, and I thought that's perfect because it's plenty strong. It's good steel. It came from under the dash anyway, and so I'm just kind of making some bends and some grinds, and I'm gonna weld it to the lower part of the steering column brace down here, and it'll be bolted with a bolt up here. This was an existing hole in the firewall. I just sent a bolt and a nut through it, and yeah, I think that's gonna work just fine. So let's weld it up. All right, there we go. I think that's gonna be plenty strong. We're reusing pieces that we already had available, and it doesn't get in any of the way of the brakes or the steering or anything like that. And it is still unboltable if we choose to ever drop the column out of the car. So yeah, that's a win. All right, so what we're doing right now is using some seam sealer and just sort of caulking in and sealing up any of those Gorilla Glue. Yep, that takes care of any hopefully water leaks and wind noise, things like that. Just kind of seal it all up. And we decided to squirt it out onto some cardboard, and we're just kind of using our hands to smear it in there. That's been working the best. So all right, so we have a piece of steel. It's actually a leftover front box from a different pickup truck, a different project that isn't being used, but it's the perfect thickness and size for using my pattern for the back of our cab.
I think you said that the blue tape there was to represent the tab that you're going to use and fold underneath, aren't you?
Correct. Yep, exactly. So the tabs, once they're cut out of metal, the tabs will be bent inward and will wrap underneath the floor of the car. And then we can either use bolts or rivets or screws, or most likely I'll just weld all the way around this. But
Sure.
yeah, so now that I have this side complete, I found my center line already, and I can just flip it over this way and lay it out on this side, and that should give me the exact shape that I need.
Sure.
It's nice, I can actually just use this old body line to follow as a nice straight edge, so works out real nice that way. That's my dad. Now that I have my piece cut out, you can see how it's matching the floor of the car and gonna cover up the rust on the back of the cab. I'm gonna take it over to the sheet metal brake and I'm gonna put a 90-degree bend on each one of these tabs, curl it under, and hopefully that gives me the strength that I need and something to weld onto underneath that floor. So far so good. Now I'm a firm believer in using the right tool the wrong way for the wrong thing. And I do it all the time. Case in point, my piece was actually way too big to be able to fit in the sheet metal brake correctly anyway. And it's just a big, cumbersome, weird looking shape. So, bench vise to the rescue. All I need to do is bend these tabs at a 90. And you can see it's working. It's working really well. So I just came up here to the small shop and just using this handy dandy bench vise the wrong way. But is it really wrong if it works? You know. There we go. Just one center tab right here that's been fighting me, and I think I'm gonna try and find a wide mouth vice grip and see if I can just grab onto it and like that. That's my plan. I don't know. Did a little bit of sanding, got the brown paint sanded down, and just started tacking in our new piece back here. It is a little bit long and some spots underneath, but that's okay. I'm gonna work that later on. But for tonight, we're just gonna get this back filler panel tacked into place. The other part of it too is that the bed of the truck is gonna be up against it. Nobody's gonna see this except you and me. So not a big deal, but I'm happy with how it's turning out so far. So let's get it tacked up. And I think we're probably gonna clean up some tools and head for home, have some supper with the kids, and see the rest of the family. So see you in a bit. Got a lot done today. Feels good to scratch a few things off our list. So move radiator back. That was all you, Dad. I got that done. Weld the rear of the cab floor, fill some gaps. We still have a little bit left to do on that. And weld the cab's rear support in. That is done. Rusty panel on the rear of the cab, that just got covered up. It's tacked into place. And yeah, just a couple more things. Opening up our HVAC fresh air and trim the fender lifts back when we put the front clip on. So yeah, huge day, huge day. I'll probably come back midweek and work on that a little bit more. But man, feels really, really good to get some accomplishments out of the way and get some stuff taken off our list. So, all right, Dad, thanks again for your help today.
You're welcome. Hey, thanks to all you guys for watching the channel here.
Yeah.
Tell your friends, you know, we just have a lot of fun here.
We do.
All right.
Just wanted to take a quick second and say a huge shout out to Ethan. Ethan donated the panel for that steel right there on the back of the cab. And Ethan has been a huge supporter of our channel from the very beginning. He's one of the first 1,000 subs. And you've actually probably seen Ethan pop up in a couple episodes helping us with Curtis here and there. So, dude, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And every one of you guys that help support our channel over and over again, thank you. Back to it. Well, it's got more sealant on it than sink at McDonald's, but should hold. We'll just try and keep water and noise out of the cabin as much as we can. I'm gonna spray a little bit over the top of my sealant and onto my firewall. And I decided on some Rust-Oleum, autumn brown, multicolored, textured kind of stuff, because honestly, I want to try and camouflage this stuff. I don't want to draw attention to it. That's why I'm not going with like a gloss black. I want it to look like it belongs. So that's what I'm going to try. Let's see if it works. Yeah, not bad. I'm happy with that. And just sort of looks like, you know, like a patched up F-150. Not bad. or bad. So let me show you again what I'm working with. And the reason I say again is because a couple of episodes ago, I showed you guys that we were given a Mustang exhaust system. It is an MBRP 3-inch, and it sounded really, really good to me, but the owner of the Mustang didn't love it. And so he took it off and put a different system on and gave it to me. And so I have a whole bunch of parts and pieces that I've collected. I have some brand new pipe, I have some clamps, I have some 3-inch, some S-curves. And so in order to make all this work and fit underneath the Crown Vic, I'm going to have to do some chopping and some cutting and some changing and things like that. This is where our old secondary cats used to be. The primary cats are still on the car, and O2 sensors are still in place. But I just wanted to remind you what I have to work with. And also have the pipe expander from work, a few different collets on there. So using what I have available to me, along with cutoff wheels and welder, clamps, expander, things like that, we should be able to come up with something that sounds good. And I do plan to have it exit ahead of the rear wheels. And if the body of the truck is low enough, I would like the exit to come out of the side of the box, if I can, which would be somewhere in here. I think that'd be awesome. But we're gonna see. I don't know. Just like everything else in this project, I'm figuring it out as I go. So that's what I have to work with, but I need to take off my old stock stuff first. I am still gonna utilize that H pipe, but I'm probably gonna have to cut it, separate these two pieces, and expand the Y pipe so that it's, or excuse me, H pipe, so it's back here behind the transmission and behind the cross member. Because on Mustangs, they can have it up here right away, but this stuff's in the way, so my H is gonna have to be back here. All right, enough talk. Let's make something happen. Here we go. So I have some 2.5-inch cut that's gonna slide right over the ends of my cats and go right up against the bung for the O2 sensor, and they'll go straight back. I can angle just a little bit because I believe that I want my turnouts to kind of be as close to the drive shaft as I can without hitting the drive shaft, simply because the shape of the floor comes down. And so if I can aim to put my pipes right in that area right there for those guys, it's obviously going to be wider at the front, but being able to weld it at a little bit of an angle gives me somewhat of an advantage right there. So obviously, gotta make sure I'm not hitting cross member, hitting floor, things like that. It's gonna have to hang correctly, but my plan for now is to cut it there, separate it, widen it out, add a section for my H pipe that will go immediately behind my cross member for the transmission. All right, so once it's back into here, I need to decide where do I want to aim my pipe to come out. And so that's why I got out the tape measure and started doing some more measuring. And if I want my exhaust to exit out the side of the box, which it might just go under, it might just point at the ground, I don't know. But if I'm gonna try it, I need to make sure that I pay attention to my wheel openings on the box. So I walked over here, took a quick measurement from the center line of my wheel opening, okay? And if I know that I want my exhaust to exit somewhere in this area right in here, I can't go any further back than, let's hook on that bolt there, and eyeballing it, I'm gonna say 21.5, 22, looking at my mark that I made there. So I must remain somewhere in that area if I want my exhaust to exit right there. All right, so back to the truck again. And that will kind of help me visualize. If I go, again, this is not exact science, but if I just sort of go, all right, there's about the center of my wheel. There's 21, there's 22. All right, so I want to aim for this area of my frame for my exhaust to come out. And it's the same on both sides. So, yeah, that's what I'm aiming for now, is my exhaust to exit underneath that hole. Cool, you gotta have goals. You gotta have an idea anyway. And then change on the fly, that's the name of the game. Okay, keep cutting. And in case you're wondering, yes, that feels very wrong to cut up a perfectly good H-pipe from a Mustang. But truth is, it wasn't gonna fit on a Crown Vic the way that it was. So you have to modify it, you have to use what's available. So, yep, cut, weld, move on. All right, so here's some of my thinking out loud, and yes, I'm using a cherry picker to hold up one side because I'm by myself and it was available and I only have one screw stand, so yeah. I'm gonna put my H as close as I can to that, and I have a nice open area till here. This is some of the reinforcement that's stock on the Crown Vic for seat belt bracket, and I might trim some of that off so that I get as much free space as I possibly can to prevent hitting and touching. But for mock-up purposes, it's fine because you kind of get the idea, and I need to have a gap and a space below the actual floor pan anyway. I think maybe I have enough space between here and here to be able to put a bullet muffler, and those were Jacobs off of Rosie years ago. They don't do much. They're very much a free-flowing glass pack kind of thing, but they do something. And I am definitely thinking I want to make this thing as quiet as I can because it's already going to be insanely loud. So if I can run 2 mufflers per side, I have 2 of those and I have 2 of those. So that's kind of my imagination right now, is that I'll put bullet mufflers there, right behind my H, come back here, and right about where this bracket ends here is where I will utilize the MBRP muffler. Let's see if I can film this and hold it up at the same time so you can kind of visualize it with me. Right about there. So where that bend is, it'll come back, and the edge of the muffler will be right behind the back of the cab. And that puts my outlet right underneath that hole for our goal. So I think that's gonna work. I don't know. I need to do more cutting and trimming there, and I'm gonna trim the ends off of the bullet mufflers and do some more mock-up. But that's kind of what I'm liking right now, is front resonators, and then the MBRP mufflers there, and then it'll exit there. I would love if I can pull that off, because I have understanding neighbors. They're really cool, but man, it would be great to make this thing rumble and quiet and, you know, not obnoxious, because I do have to start this thing at like 6 a.m. every morning. Yeah, that's working. Just went around and cut some notches around those seat belt reinforcements in the floor pan, and just kind of give it a wiggle, and they snap right off. Now, the strength is still there because it's still doubled up and it's still tack welded into place, so it's still gonna have 2 layers of sheet metal right there for your seat belts. I'm just taking that lip off so that there's less chance of my exhaust hitting it. Yeah. You guys are probably like me and you really love old tools, and this old pipe expander is probably, I don't know, I'm guessing at least 30 years old, maybe more. It might even be as old as I am. But anyway, it's an OTC, comes with a bunch of different collets and sizes to be able to fit, and I'm just using it to give my glass packs just a little bit of a tweak so that I can slide the 3-inch inside. So not much, it's really easy to go too far, but just hooks up to shop air, and you can use your foot or your hand. Just like that, that's really all I need. Try it, make sure, yep. I want a snug fit, but a little bit of a adjustment to it, just like that. So I'm happy. And you can see, because you know these things have been used on like a couple different applications by us already. We'd put them on, use them for a while, take them off, do something different. There's one way you can see the baffles inside, but they're so open, they're really not going to do a whole lot, but it's all right. That's what I'm counting on. If I have 4 mufflers and none of them do a lot, hopefully it's combining it enough to where they do some, you know? I don't know. Using what I got. All right, keep cutting. Do some more. I really think this is gonna work. I sure hope so. But I have things kind of mocked up. And right there, after the H-pipe, I plan to put the resonator, that way. Put the resonator in, should have the clearance, and then it'll go back to straight again for a little while, and I'm gonna cut it again before that 45, and I'll use the 45 that's already attached to my muffler and get the body of the muffler right there in the opening, right behind the back of the cab, and then use this piece of tailpipe and send it right underneath our goal mark here. But you always have to start at the beginning, and so I've got everything kind of like a block of wood wedged in there and things like that. I'm happy with the angles. I'm happy with where the H-pipe is sitting and things like that. So because these things come out at different kind of wonky angles and things like that, you kind of have to just keep eyeballing it and looking at it and saying, yeah, do I like that? Do I like that? Okay, so I'm gonna tack weld up here in a couple different spots, and then I can drop the whole thing down, weld all the way around it, and I'm gonna build it in sections starting at the front, work my way back. So this is gonna be tack welded first, and then I'll make my cuts, put the resonator in, and then continue on from there. But that's the game plan anyway. There we go. Now that it's unbolted, I can weld all the way around completely and really have a good seal. And then I made a mark 1 inch back, and that will allow me to have a little bit of pipe to slide inside my mufflers and get as tight up against there as I possibly can, but still hopefully be able to get the welder in. So that's going to be the trick. I still have to be able to try and get some weld in there. So yeah, we're in uncharted waters for me. Never had to do that yet, but learn as I go. Now this kind of gives you an idea of what I was imagining, and I'm getting these mufflers as close to that H as I can while still allowing myself enough room to get my welder in there. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Obviously they're not going to be this long, but I need to get it all mocked up underneath the truck again, bolt my flanges on, and put some tack welds in there, take it back down again, weld all the way around, put it back up again. So it's gonna be a lot of that, but it's because I wanna do it right. So yeah. All right, we're getting closer and closer to our goal. And so I'm gonna cut this right in here, I'll get rid of this. This is our old hanger. And look, we're right pretty close where we want to be here, meeting our goals. So again, little tacks, mock it up where I like it, move on, try and recreate it on the other side. But I also took a tape measure and I measured it is exactly 21 inches to right in here underneath our hole. So yeah, I dig it. For not having a pipe bender accessible to me, I'm doing the best I can with what I know how and with what I have. So I'm gonna put some tacks in there and then recreate the same thing on the other side. And hopefully, if this is flat on both sides, I might be able to run a cross brace across there that strengthens it some more. But yeah, good times. All right, more cutting, more welding. And there we have both sides all mocked up. I am really liking the looks of this. Turning out. So, I'm gonna tack my pipe. I also would love to be able to add a brace in there to strengthen everything up, and then the holes would also allow me a way to utilize some hanger. Problem is, I don't think that these brackets, this magnet doesn't stick. I think they're stainless. I don't think I'm gonna be able to weld to those, but I'm gonna try. I don't know. Been able to weld to all this stuff because that's aluminized, but yeah. So they welded at the factory. I'm gonna see if I can get something to hold there. I'm not sure. I'm debating, do I lay it down or do I stand it up? I don't know. It's just a piece of scrap that I had, but anyway, I'm gonna begin by tacking my pipe first. Then I should probably head for home. It's getting late. Time to hear that new song that Curtis Lowe is about to sing. Here we go. smiling. Yeah. Good deal, man. All right, well, that's gonna do it for this episode, but I hope you're gonna stick around in the future because we got a lot more cool things in the works. And this pipe laying on the floor here, I'm really excited about that because that is gonna be the roll bar that goes in Curtis Lowe. And so I'm hoping we can get started on that within the next week or so, so stay tuned. I'm gonna work on getting the front clip put on now, hopefully permanently, so it never has to come off again. I'm gonna trim the fenders. I got a really cool tool that I picked up from Eastwood Company that I'm gonna show you, and some other cool things. It's gonna start looking like a truck again. I can't wait to get the cab finished and start working on the bed and roll bar, things like that. It's gonna be awesome. So thank you so much for supporting the channel, for sticking around to the end of the video. And if this is the kind of content you like to see, you know what to do. You don't need me to beg you for it. If you want to check out our merch, it's at GoShineOn.com. And if you want to interact with me directly, I'm over at Instagram. It's at flannel_Philip. And I thank you so much. Peace and grease.